That's right. Cleveland Browns jersey, little Baker Mayfield for you today. Bev Ryan over at Keller Williams, really great agent, was in the office today and had an incredibly cool question. I thought it'd be a good idea to do a legal tip for you. And in that, her question was, a special assessment had been levied by the HOA, so who was going to be responsible for paying that special assessment? So when you're using the CCRA contract, paragraph 19 answers that question, and the state contract or the Greenville contract, we're going to look at paragraph 22. That'll answer the question. So the question is, should the seller pay for the special assessment, or does the buyer have to pay for the special assessment? Well, in the Columbia market, using the CCRA contract, what you're going to do is look at when the assessment was levied. If the assessment was levied prior to closing, that's the seller's responsibility to pay it. If it's levied after closing, then it's the buyer's responsibility. It doesn't matter whether they've been discussing it. It doesn't matter if there was thoughts about it. It's when it's levied, that's the party that's responsible for it. In Greenville, using the state contract, it's when the assessment's been approved. Once the HOA approves the assessment, whether they've levied it or not, it's when it's been approved. That's the party that's going to be responsible. So in most cases, you're going to see it's going to be the seller up to closing, because we should know about the special assessment by getting what's called an estoppel letter. That's when we send out a request to the HOA asking them to tell us, is there any HOA dues that are past dues or any special assessment? So basically anything up to closing is probably going to be the seller's responsibility, because either it's been approved or it's been levied prior to closing. Anything that gets levied or approved after closing, that becomes the buyer's responsibility. So hopefully that answers your question on that one. It's a really good question. Thanks, Bev. The other thing I'm going to do is today is, remember we've talked about in the last video some of the ways that Blair Cato believes we make your job easier as a real estate agent. In a previous video, we talked about how we had gave you the access to our ResWare program, where you could go in 24/7 and sign into the program and find out the status of your closing on the buyer side or seller side, because you don't work 9 to 5, you work 24/7. So this gives you the ability to do that. So the second way we're going to talk about today real quickly is that we recognize that real estate agents have about 900 to 1,000 emails a day. In fact, I asked an agent the other day how many emails they had unread, and they said about 20,000 emails in their inbox. So what we do is we have other ways to communicate with you. If emails are getting jammed up and that's not the best way to communicate with you, we do have the ability to text you. You can literally text our paralegals or our closers directly to their Blair Cato telephone line. So if you ever need something, you can directly text them, or they can even text you back. So just another example of how Blair Cato is trying to think of different ways to make your job easier. Communication is very important. So hopefully having other ways for you to communicate with us and us to communicate with you will make your job easy. So anyway, have a great one, and look forward to seeing you real soon at closing.